Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are breaking down our top 5 picks for the and one worst level 6 wizard spells.
Yes,
Already up to level 6. My goodness.
climbing our way up there. I feel like these ones need slightly more of a disclaimer. Like as we get into the upper tiers, we're definitely getting into the realm where I'm confident, at least me, I'm Bobby, you're in probably the same camp. We have not played with these spells as regularly as the
Yeah.
lower level ones. So these start to get a little bit like, I mean, hypothetically, this is really good in a lot of circumstances. Or I've seen the spell cast twice and it was great both those times, right? So grain of salt with all these. But these are, I think, we find our top fives are probably.
Yeah, I got a feeling this might be our most different list yet.
Quite possibly.
There's because when I was going through the list, none of them, I mean, a couple of them jumped out as obvious, but not as many as previous lists.
Yeah, no, I actually entirely agree. I was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff here. Oh.
Yeah,
There's
there's a lot of stuff.
a lot of stuff. What's your stuff start with?
Another disclaimer, as we do every time. Sam ranks
Oh
his
yeah.
uh, top five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mine are in no particular order. Top 5 of the level. All right. Yeah. All right. I'll start this time. Let me dig up my list here, and I am gonna start with. Ooh, no, I don't want to pick that one because I think it's going to be high on your list. All right. I'll start with scatter.
Scatter?
I,
What? I don't know if I've actually read this spell. Hold on, let me pull it up. I was like, are you just saying shatter wrong? No, that's not the right level for this. Why do you love scatter?
I don't love it. I just
Have I written about this?
yeah, you have.
Okay.
All right. So it's one thing to be able to teleport, but it's another thing to be able to teleport yourself and an enemy. Or, I mean, you can do this with an ally too, right? It's man, I gotta look it up again. It's been so long since I wrote these lists, but I don't know. It just seems like a lot of fun for me, a lot of potential for hijinks.
Agreed. So yeah, having reread it, I'm like, oh yeah, I love this spell. This it's very cute. It's pretty apparent that it's not on my list because I forgot that it existed.
Yes.
I also don't know how powerful, like how strictly bonkers it is, but it is really cool. You're just like, hey, up to 5 things, willing or not, we're going places, and you get to pick where everyone's going, and that's super cool. I love that.
Yeah, especially if you've got area of effect things going on, or good or bad. I don't know. It's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I entirely agree. I think this spell is really super sweet. It's a very fun at minimum, and it's like it's got some pretty cool potential. I think there'll be
I
times where this is like just used as Misty Step or just used as Dimension Door, but then there'll be other times where you eat the goblins into the abyss, and that's super cool.
Yeah, I am historically known not as a power gamer. So when I see something like this, if it's fun, awesome.
This is also definitely the kind of spell that I would put on my character sheet. Like, I don't even know if it's going to be good ever, but I'd be like, oh, this is way too cool not to try out. So, but it doesn't make my
Yeah,
top five.
it's like playing chess, but you get to move the other team's pieces.
Yeah, exactly. And you're allowed to move them off the board in some cases. That's
Yeah.
like what it feels like, right? It was pretty cool. Like, imagine like you're in a like the upper tier like lava fortress battle map. You're against like a bunch of angry Drogar. And you're like, you three into the lava. That seems very fun. It's in a very wildly environment. Like if you're on like an airship or something, throwing people off into the space seems sweet. If you're in Spelljammer going around the astral, to be like outside the bubble. Outside the
Yeah.
bubble you go. That seems super spicy. There'll be other battle maps where you're just like in an open field and it'll be like they're 120 feet away now.
Hope you prepared an air bubble, friend,
Yep.
or you have a bucket of water.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. That's going.
Yeah, I specifically started with that one because I was pretty sure it wasn't going to make your list, and I thought, I bet when I say this, he's going to say scatter, and
Listen, there are a lot of spells in this game, and I talk about them
yes,
a
there are.
lot. There's only so much my brain can keep in it at one time.
All right, what do you got for your first pick?
All right, my number 5. This is the one I think is worst of the top 5, but it's still pretty good. It's Irresistible Dance. It's definitely more of a bard spell than a wizard spell. I will always be annoyed that wizards are allowed to have this and it's not a bard exclusive, but it's very fun. It's a save or die without the save. It just die. You just dance. And that is inherently powerful. It's going to get around legendary actions. It's going to be very consistent. You know what you're getting whenever you cast it 100% of the time. And like, it at the very least is going to spend its action to get out of this. And if it doesn't, which I mean it should, but if it doesn't, you're guaranteed to like you can lock it down for minutes at a time. And that's very up to a minute at a time.
It's going to spend its action to try to get out of this, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
it makes the wizard save.
Yeah.
If it's got legendary resistance, it can burn the legendary resistance there. But having an effect that guarantees I eat its action and I eat its legendary resistance, if we're talking about like big upper tier monster stuff, that's powerful. This is like I trade a 6th level spell slot for its turn and a legendary resistance on it. And that's more than you can say for like a polymorph or a banishment kind of effect. And that's why I think this earns the slot in the list.
That is why it made my list as well. Yes.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's silly. What's not to love about forcing the giant lich to breakdance on their, evil bone throne, right? Like it seems like a very high hijinks moment to have the ancient red dragon begin immediately spitting in place and doing giant silly red dragon dance moves all while it's in its lair, and there's like a super high stakes moment and the paladin's like got blood running down the side of his face from the giant claw mark, and you got the cleric over there that's just like holding the druid alive, and the wizard just pops a 70s dance pose and the wizard just breaks it down. That seems like a very, very fun D&D thing. And even though, like, outside of specifically breaking legendary resistance, I don't think this is all that notable. Like, I think if you're casting this on a regular monster, it's probably just worse than polymorph and banishment. Because it interacts so well with the legendary resistances, because it bypasses some of the top-end game power stuff for the monsters, I think it's definitely worth including.
Yeah, it reminds me of that scene from Beetlejuice.
Yeah, sure. Another movie I haven't seen but intend to, as opposed to The Three Amigos.
Oh, Sam.
It's a good one. I see pop culture references to it all the time, and I'm like, I have to actually watch this movie at some point in my life, and I just never got around to it. Maybe next Halloween.
All right. I guess that's my turn then.
Yep, back to you.
Let's see if I can find another one that you don't have. Oh, I bet. I think you're probably not going to have this one because I don't think you like this one as much as I did. Okay. Contingency.
That's my number 1.
Oh, never mind. All right. Is this another one of those you didn't like because it's too good?
Yes.
All right. Well, then my mistake. Okay.
Contingency isn't even a spell to me. Contingency is a feature that says if you have extra spells, you just now have more of them, and that's lame as hell. Like, this is something where you're just like, oh, right, I haven't used my 6th level spell slot today. Great, now I have an extra 5th level spell slot tomorrow. What? Excuse me?
Awesome.
That's bananas.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess we're having the same argument here, or arguing the same side. But again, do you think it's not great? I think it's awesome. But
I think Wizard doesn't need this. I think Wizards should always take it if you're given the option because it is that good. You just you can prepare this and never have to worry about it ever. If you're taking like 2 days off, just contingency a 6th level or contingency a 5th level spell, and then you go into the adventuring day with a free 5th level slot ready to go, whatever you want it to be, and it costs you nothing.
Yeah, wonderful.
It's a learned spell that's giving you an extra 5th level spell slot. That doesn't need to exist. Why does this have to exist in this way? It's so powerful. You should always take it on your wizards. It's literally this. If this was a wizard feature, I'd be like, sure, wizards get another 5th level spell slot. Why not? But because you have to search through the wizard spells to find this hidden thing, and its only really good use case scenario is a command word to activate whatever spell you want that's 5th level or lower. Like, come on, it inherently is very hard to do the actual, like, I plan to do a contingency thing. Oh, I've got water breathing in case we go underwater. Like, anyone would ever actually do that with a contingency whenever you can be like, nah, I got a fireball in here, upcast to 5th level, that it's going to explode on them if they walk within 120 feet. And then it's a free action in combat. Like, nah. Contingency is really, really powerful. Contingency is, like, egregiously powerful for no reason. It's just if you ever have downtime, it's free, and it's better than a ritual for that reason. It's like it feels unfair for me to include it, but I felt like I have to just because it's that powerful. Like, it doesn't feel like a spell, and yet it is apparently.
That's the nature of this video.
Yeah, that's true.
It's your responsibility to include it, whether or not you like it.
That's a great point, Bob. Thank you for that.
But yeah, you've said, yeah, there's nothing I'm going to say that you wouldn't. But no,
Hit me with it.
I've loved contingency in previous editions as well, and yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't know you growing up playing D&D, because I think you would have ruined it a lot of it for me.
Perhaps.
Ah, but yeah, I guess
Listen,
we're both agreed. What? Go ahead.
My frustrations don't come in to play as someone who doesn't enjoy casting the spell, right? I'm not saying that I don't like it because I wouldn't have fun using it. I don't like it because I don't think it's good net positive for the health of the game, for making other
Yeah,
characters feel fair and balanced, to make the wizard feel any more in line with what other people are doing. I think it pushes wizard further than it needs to be. If you're the wizard doing it, of course it's awesome. Of course it's amazing. Of course it's super fun. What's not to love? It's a free 5th level spell slot. Like, that's a yes, please. It's a free 5th level spell slot you don't have to spend actions on. 1,000,000% sign me up. That sounds dope. The game doesn't need this though.
yeah,
That's where I
perhaps
stand,
not.
right?
Maybe, maybe if they reworked it or something. I just like the idea of it as it's supposed to be a contingency. You know, something you prepare for yourself in the event that something should happen. Yeah, maybe if it was limited to situations like, oh, if I get dunked underwater, cast a water breathing. If you had to spell out a specific set of circumstances rather than just say a command word, I don't know. I I like the concept behind it.
Also, I definitely said you could use it with Fireball. I lied. That's definitely not something you can do with the spell, and I shouldn't overstate what it can do whenever I'm talking about it being amazing, because I don't want to make people be like, oh, he only thinks it's good because it can cast Fireballs. Calm down. It can cast Haste, it can cast Fly, it can cast 2,500 great self-cast spells.
You know, people are going to quit before this far
I
in the
said that.
video
Oh,
and
no!
comment.
I can never turn back from this. My reputation is ruined. I've never made a mistake in these videos before. Uh, uh, I think what would work really well for that is just expanding the ready to action rules for spell casting, right? Like, I think there should be cool ways to make more reaction spells that are contingency based, right? Like, I think make water breathing a reaction spell. Like, maybe it has 2 modes. Maybe it's you cast it on a bunch of friends, or as a reaction when you dunk underwater, it happens on yourself. I think you could expand other spells to do what contingency does. I think specifically the spells that, like, you would want to have a contingency for, I think would be neat if you could add reaction-based stuff to them. I think the reaction gameplay in this game is relatively lax, and having more of them could be net positive. I don't think you necessarily need a spell that says every spell can now be a reaction to, and that reaction triggers anything I want it to be. I think that's too much.
Yeah, or maybe yeah. Your solution though is removing the contingency spell and making other spells have reaction modes,
Yes.
which is one way. But I just like the idea of contingency. I like it conceptually. I could live with it being pared down to just say these are the specific spells it works with, and these are the circumstances. I could live with that.
Yeah. It
But
also, like, if
yeah,
it just cost you the slot still, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. If it at least, like, if at least after you took the long rest within the 10 days, it still cost you the 4th level slot to stick the buff on yourself, I'd be like, fine. It's like a free ready to action. It's still really good, but you're getting it for free. And that, like, because you spend both spells whenever you cast the contingency, you
right.
don't have to spend them again later. Having to at least spend it again later, then I'm like, okay, then you get to feel like you did the prepared wizard thing. That wouldn't be that tall of an order, but in this instance, it's just free. It's just an extra free spell.
Yeah,
I think there are cleaner and easier ways to make this less busted and less required. Still, that's me being like, from the game design, this is all. If you're a player and you want to use it, it's a blast. You're absolutely right about that. It's super fun for the people who like planning ahead and being like, I'm big braining 3 levels ahead. I knew, despite the fact that we were going to the desert, that you, sneaky DM, were going to flood it for some reason, Noah's Ark style, and I prepared contingency for water breathing, and everyone goes, what the fuck is wrong with you?
all right. Well, I guess we're on to your next pick.
Cool. We somehow once enough. We do this consistently. We do my 5 and then you get my 1. Globe of Invulnerability is my 4 though. So I like Globe of Invulnerability a lot. I think this spell is fun. I like the giant indestructible hamster ball. I don't think it is used enough. And I think that while it may not be like effective at doing a whole lot of things, goddamn is it fun.
All right, that did not make my list.
it's not even a hamster ball. It is just a giant ball of like 10-foot sphere indestructible. But still, you can put things in it and they get stuck in there and they can't get out. Spells don't break it, which is super cool. You can just have the indestructible wall of your dreams. I think that's pretty nifty. Is this better than Wall of Force? Not really. But like
Well,
you can,
depending on what you want to do with it, I mean, you can hamster ball it and like roll around and stuff.
yeah. It
Can't do
says
that with the
it's
Wall of Force.
immobile, but I don't like to think
Oh,
of it as immobile. I like to think of it as the hamster ball because I like to live my dreams and I enjoy fun in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I think of immobile as like it's unwieldy, not it physically cannot move. That's definitely using liberal
actually, that's not really what
interpretation of
immobile
language.
means.
It's fine. It's fine. Let me live in this dream world where
All
it's a
right.
hamster ball, Bob. It turns off every 5th level or lower spell cast outside the barrier. And that's so nice. That's so nice. You can just not worry about anything coming from outside coming inward. You're like, I don't want to get fireballed today. Great. You're not getting fireballed today. I don't want to get lightning bolted today. Great. I don't want to get dominated. I don't want to have my barbarian get dominated. I'm setting on a global vulnerability and no one has to worry about this shit. That's useful. It's like a baby anti-magic field in that way. And I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
What's your next one, Bob?
Let's see. All right, got that one. I got that one. Got that one. All right. I know you don't have this one. Freezing Sphere.
That is, I thought about it, but it did not make my list. Freezing Sphere is neat, but I don't think it's quite good enough. Maybe it's better than. I mean, again, we're definitely in like the realm of, is this that good? Maybe. But Freezing Sphere is nifty. Why do you like Freezing Sphere, Bob?
All right, it's got its delayed blast fireball, got some decent damage, and also you get the little
30-foot square of 6-inch deep ice cubes. It freezes the
that.
water.
Well, yeah, there's the freeze in the water, which is
but also you get the little grenade pellet.
That's what I was thinking. The grenade pellet where you can either fling it or set it down, and it's like got a minute timer. Nobody necessarily has to see it. Yeah, there's a lot of fun things you could do with that, I would imagine. The water thing doesn't, how often is that going to come into play? Unless you're specifically in some water, or I don't know.
It traps things underneath it, notably, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And like things in the water get a strength check to break free of it. So I don't think it's a negligible element of the spell. Like a strength check in your spell save DC could just lock things in place for a little while. Otherwise, it's just restrained in the ice. Well, it doesn't say it's restrained; it says it's trapped. And I hate that they didn't give us a condition word here. I think I expressed that hatred last when we talked about this. I think it's a meaningful part of the spell. I think all of the text here is interesting. I do think the damage is a little bit low. I don't know if the conditions are anything that I am like crazy about, but I would definitely think I would find myself if I'm like at a table that's just like, we're doing the adventuring thing and I got a new spell level and everyone's like looking through the new options. They haven't planned out builds or anything like that. Freezing Sphere easily hits onto a lot of sheets that way.
Yeah, I think, the little pellet thing is my favorite part.
You put it in a sling and launch it, or you leave it on the ground and hope for the best. It definitely is like the cool guys don't look at explosions where you're like, man, I really hate these orcs. I can't believe we dealt with them for this many years. Whatever. I'm going to leave this little pebble on the ground. They're going to be like, all right, sure, whatever, bro.
Compelled duel, have them come at you.
Oh, sure. It's nifty. I think you're definitely right that there's the coolest element of the spell is having that little pebble that you can stow away, or you can throw at people, or you can, you give to a kobold and be like, it's a precious gem, go give it to your dragon overlord. And then it explodes in their face, and that's how the encounter starts. Like, there's definitely some cute things you can do with that. That's nifty. It's fine. It's probably good.
Or put it as part of a catapult payload. And they're just expecting a couple of rocks. Surprise.
I love that, like, conceptually, you're like, yeah, they're not going to be bothered by the quarter-ton of rocks flying at them. That's a perfectly normal thing to be like, what's the worst that'll happen? It's just, like, 500 pounds of rocks smashing into my face. The real thing that'll get them is the floating freezing sphere.
Well, maybe if you're catapulting into a swimming pool.
Sure.
Huh? All right. Well, that was Freezing Sphere. What else do you have?
I think this one probably made yours. Disintegrate?
No.
Disintegrate didn't get your. Oh, this is just the best point and click damage spell in the game. I say point and click because you point and it dies. And it's like point and click is like a game term for no skill required. You just say, I want that to take damage now, please, and it takes damage. It's 10d6 plus 40 force damage.
Yeah, it's a big one.
That seems good. 40 is a big number. 40 is a very big number. Like, let me pull up the dice calculator just so I can tell you, like, relatively in the terms of d6 is how much 40 damage is. Because when you conceptualize in dice size, it feels a lot bigger. So 10d6 is 35 damage. So this is like 11d6 bonus damage, 12d6 bonus damage, somewhere in that range. So you could think of it instead of 10d6 plus 40, 22d6. It's a big number. It's big dice. And that's what Disintegrate does. It also just like, it's something where you'll routinely say, man, I really want to kill just the one thing and I want to kill it really badly. Disintegrate. And that's going to be powerful. It's going to be cool. It breaks weird things. There's a lot of weird stuff in this game that can only be destroyed by Disintegrate spells. Like the actual indestructible hamster ball can only be destroyed by Disintegrates, which is a lower level than this that I definitely was thinking of whenever I started talking about it, but then we transitioned to what the spell actually did. It was a whole rigmarole, but it's okay. I'm sure no one noticed. But Disintegrate, it does a lot of weird things. It breaks magical walls of force. It destroys like some niche Dungeons and Dragons related stuff. It's kind of this weird tool that feels very much like a legacy Dungeons and Dragons thing, where it's like a rock, paper, scissors between Disintegrate and counter spells and a bunch of other nonsense. At the end of the day, though, the floor of it being I would like you to take like 80 damage right now. Yeah, I'm here for that.
Is it a save or die?
If they are left with 0, they actually are they disintegrate. But
No, I
it
meant
is
like
a deck save or
the deck
taking 10d6 plus
right.
40
If
damage.
they pass the deck save, then
on a failed save, nothing.
A pass save is nothing.
Nothing.
All right, that's probably why I didn't make my list.
Sometimes, how does Chromatic Orb make your some of your favorite first level spells, but Disintegrate with the upside of 80 damage doesn't?
Because when you need to deal 80 damage to something and you don't, then that's a big deal.
That is a bigger deal than needing to deal 12 damage to something and not. You're right about that. I just also, I will say, I think this is the single highest 4-spell level point and click damage spell in the game. I don't think you can find like Power Word Kill isn't getting you as good a rate as this. Power Word, like, or Shadow Power Word Kill? That's the one, right? That's the words for it?
All one.
Great. That points and says it's 150 less hit points, it dies. Right. This is the best rate as you can get damage for spell level. But I think that justifies considering it at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly worth considering, but that's like, I'll put a dollar in a slot machine, but I'm not gonna go, throw $50,000 down a roulette table.
That's fair. That is kind of what this feels like. Most of the time you're succeeding though. So it's like playing blackjack, but you know what you're doing, is what I would think of this more as. Like you're running the blackjack tables because you understand if you play it correctly, you can always come out on top eventually. You just have to, spend a lot of money to get there.
I'm only putting the money in the slot machine, because they're giving me free drinks.
Sure.
So I'm not coming out of this with nothing.
That's fair. All right, that's my number 3. What's your next one, Bob?
All right, let's see. All right, I did that one. That one. I think I only got one left.
Nice.
All right, I got Mass Suggestion.
We have entirely different lists this time around. Mass Suggestion didn't make mine.
Not entirely. We both had an Irresistible Dance.
Yeah.
All right.
Why Mass Suggestion?
Let's see. My note says it's fun to incite a riot. Like I said, I made this list so long ago, I forgot what Mass Suggestion even does. Let me look it up a little bit.
Sure. Basically, it's you influence up to 12 things at once with the suggestion effect, and you can upcast it to increase the duration from 24 hours to 10 days to 30 days to a year.
See, I'm not a huge fan of regular suggestion because, suggest one person, whatever. But suggesting a bunch of people, for extended periods of time, that's you could do anything with that.
I very much get the gist of your desires in this game is you want to have long-term impacts in a game that's probably 6 days total, right? Like you really want to see the outcome of years of planning of these long-term big schemes that coalesce, whenever in reality you're adventuring for like you're at the table playing what is 8 days worth of time over 12 levels, right? Like the rest of the time is the travel time to get there or whatever else is around it. But like there's not an actual long time spent with the characters comparatively, not the years and stuff that you're looking to get at a
Well, I
massive
mean,
distance.
you're talking, when you travel across the world and you travel back, you know, years have passed.
Yeah.
What are these people doing now?
How
They've
did my
been
walls of stone create
harvesting
society?
my crops and
Yeah.
and collecting my what is it? Oh shucks,
I don't know. Have you heard of the game
extortion money. Yes.
Sure. Have you heard of the game Sid Meier's Civilization? I think that might be up your alley.
Yeah, I'm a big Civ fan.
That would do it. This all makes perfect sense. I think as a 6th level spell, it's quite good. 12 creatures suggesting them for 24 hours can get you a lot of leniency. Your words are going to be very specific. I think the upcasts of this are pipe dreams. I don't think they really matter all that much. I think they're definitely like villainous things that you do. I think we talked about most when we talked about it. I don't think this is that much better than suggesting. Like I think suggesting 12 people isn't so much more effective than suggesting 1 for 8 hours. Like I don't think it justifies the cost that much, unless again you're doing the villainous stuff with it. But it's definitely fine. I definitely would be like, yeah, sure, I'll try mass suggestion this time around. I want 12 people to do my bidding right now. That's nifty, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on what you use it for. I think it's one of those spells that I think has a lot better uses than what I'm coming up with.
It's definitely gonna be also like in the moment you'll be like, oh, we really need someone to go set off these traps. I suggest that you go take a leisurely stroll through those dungeon corridors, and then you do that with 12 different people, and you set off the traps for the whole dungeon.
All right, is your list done?
No, I got one left.
All right,
This is my number 2. I as usual cheated and have an honorary here. I have Summon Fiend as the actual number 2, just because it's notably when the summon spells into front touch college and everything, when you cast them with the 6th level slots, they get 3 attacks around, and that's yucky good. But I honorarily said Create Undead, and the reason I honorarily said Create Undead is because it's more like a 9th level spell than it is like a 6th level spell, because at 6th level it's kind of ass, but at 9th level it's really good. So we can talk about one or both of those. If we stick to what's on the list, Summon Fiend gives you some pretty powerful fiends. Most of them just attack things. It's kind of what fiends do. Some of them have fly speeds. Like, it's not overwhelmingly exciting for compared to all the other summon spells, but it does give you a multi-attacking giant hit point sack fiend that will just rend things to pieces. Each one is like starting with 50 or 60 HP depending on it, with the upcasts giving you more HP. These things have like the demons explode when they die. The Yugoloths have like a teleport that they can do in between their attacks. So they're just like blinking all over the place. So they can blink 3 times in a turn, which is really gross. Devils just have a 2d6 plus 3 plus 6, so that's the level you're casting of it. 3 times around range spell attack. They're just like throwing fireballs out 150 feet 3 times around for a shitload of damage. I mean, if you compare that to like what's it called? The really garbage 3d10 damage force sword, Mordekainen's sword, this is leagues better than that. And then you also have a devil flying around killing people. Like it's a very good conjuration spell. It's a really good summon spell, because all of them are very good, but this one in particular, it's like, yeah, it's 3 attacks around with devils and demons. It's great.
Yeah, that could have found its way onto my list. And even more so, however, I'm surprised I didn't pick Create Undead.
It's real good. I still will never get over how funny your name for it is. It cracks me up every single time I see white supremacy.
WIGHT.
Yes, very important, viewers. I would like it to be on the record that I support WIGHT supremacy in the realm of specifically Create Undead, and that is it. But like, Create Undead's very fun. You make some whites, they kill some towns, you have an army of zombies, and it's pyramid scheming your way into necromancy lordsome, and that's super fun to me. That's like my version of civilization that I think I really like for these spells, is like whenever you're the evil undead overlord, it's completely impractical to have 48 zombies under your disposal, but it's super fun to do it. Like, it seems super cool. Will you ever actually do it? No. But it's really nifty, and this is a way to do that. The lower level versions kind of are sucky. You get a couple of ghouls, a couple of ghasts, and they're like, they're not hitting very much. Their stenches are really low ZCs. They're making 3 attacks, but like you could just have a Pithy making, or like the Hurling Flaming Devil making 3 attacks, so you're not really getting that much more for having the more bodies. It's not as good as Summon Fiend, I don't think. But like even if you cast it fairly, it's still summoning magic. Summoning magic is still good. It'll also fulfill your Necromancer fantasy, so it's a fine 6th level spell. It definitely deserves a slot if you're considering it in like the scope of 9th level min munchkin or min maxing Munchkin. Whites are able to kill all the people you want them to. Zombie resurrection army nonsense. But like
I think that's using it fairly. That's I mean, they chose whites for a reason.
sure, I think you will struggle to find a DM that's like, yeah, you definitely can just loft around with your 4 whites with their 48 zombies each, or their 12 zombies each, to have your little posse of undead with you at all times. The upper tiers. I have a hunch that's not happening, but that's fine.
That's the reason to take the spell.
I mean, you also take the spell to have 3 ghouls. You know?
Not me.
Like I keep brushing off ghouls. They're 3 attacks a turn, and that's not nothing. And their bodies, their hits points, and their other things, but they're not as good as with the whites.
All right. Well, now we're down to your list is finished, right?
Yep.
Do you want to go over it?
Number 1, Contingency. Number 2, Summon Fiend, honorably mentioning Create Undead here. Number 3, Disintegrate. Number 4, Globe of Invulnerability to mitigate all those spells. And number 5, Irresistible Dance for a save or die that things can't save from.
Okay, and mine was, I had Mass Suggestion for unrealistic long-term expectations, Contingency for fun shenanigans, and Freezing Sphere for a little pellet booby trap catapult ammunition, Irresistible Dance because the guaranteed effectiveness, and Scatter for being able to move everybody around.
Scatter's sweet.
Exactly where you want them. All right, now what's your worst?
I think this might be the same for both of us, but
Could
there
be.
are some real big stinkers here. I picked instant summons.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah. This have you ever wanted to spend a lot of money and have the ability to summon a mundane object? Because instant summons is that.
This is the one where you have to smash the jewels, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's so
you
stupid.
Get it. You needed sapphires that you've just smashed to get the objects to teleport to you.
Yeah, that's
this is like, for reference, 3rd level warlocks, the worst pact boon they get is Pact of the Blade, and lets them just summon things of their choosing into their hands. They just need to pick, like, I would like a greatsword now, please. Greatsword. And it's like ubiquitously understood to be the worst option they get. This is a 6th level worse version of that costs you money. It costs you
Lots
money,
of money,
Bob.
And I still don't understand, how do you smash these sapphires?
It's a great question. You just have to have like the gemsmithing hammer with you and a little anvil, and you like break it up. That's what I would envision. That's probably the only use case for it ever, is that silliness, because like, oh my god, whoever Drawmage should be ashamed of their instant summons. It's not good enough to be a real spell. Shame on
Oh,
them.
is this one of those spells with a name that it's supposed to have?
Yeah, they got legacied out because,
yeah, right.
copyright or whatever.
Yeah.
Not also, if someone else is holding the thing that you bound it to, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, you spend 1,000 gold to maybe get your stuff. Just bring your stuff.
Like, imagine that you're like a super wealthy wizard, right? And you got your big fancy estate, and you've got some, like, some magical servants that are cleaning it or whatever, and one of them just happens to be cleaning your spellbook whenever you really need it, and you're like, instant summons.
I need my croquet mallet. Oh dear.
Oh no. This is not what we anticipated. I think Magic Jar probably could have been in here too. Magic Jar is quite bad. It's just hard to use and really clunky, but like, instant summons
does something, huh?
That's a great point. It does something, and instant summons definitely doesn't.
Yeah, I can't think of a reason I would ever want to use this.
Yeah, agreed. Don't take instant summons. It's, oh god, is this spell awful.
All right, well, that's our level 6 list. Yeah, viewers, leave us some comments below. Tell us why we're wrong, why you think instant summons is fantastic, and the spells we picked for the best were lousy.
I definitely would love to hear some people's experiences specifically with some of these spells.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a robust experience with most of these, right? My upper tier play that I've done, I've had like 3 games, get 6 level spells, and like routinely use them. So I would be really interested to see like, what are your actual loads? Like, have you cast Arcane Gate? Maybe you're super like, I've seen Chain Lightning get cast once and then it was never cast ever again. So I'm like, that's probably not where you want to be with damaging spells. Like maybe you've routinely played a lot with Odilux Freezing Sphere, and you're like, yeah, this was great. Bob is absolutely right. Sammy should put it on your list, and I'd be like, I believe you.
Well, you said you
What's up?
considered it.
I did.
All right. Well, there's that. This was level 6. Stay tuned for our level 7 picks, and go back and watch our cantrips and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 level picks.
And let us know
And
on each one of those
yes,
where you agree and where you
please.
disagree.
All right. Until then, we will see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.